I feel like I'm doing a disservice to the potential people I could be helping each time I have my McDonald's or each time I don't wake up at this time. And I do the McDonald's a bit too much.
It's the why, isn't it? It's the why. Like, I didn't do any of that routine until I had a why. Like, I don't eat later because it's now proven to me through data that I sleep better if I don't. So now I know that's a good why. The not eating meat at dinner time means my heart rate is lower at nighttime, which means my heart rate is lower, which means it has less beats. And the information I understand is you have a finite number of beats in your heart. So if you can make it do less, it's going to last longer.
I like to start any podcast because I made the mistake, and I've said it on a few episodes now, and people are probably tired of me saying it, but we had a guy from National Capital. We spoke for 40 minutes. First 10 minutes was about a cockroach game he made, and no one knew what we're talking about. So I think for context, what is it that you do?
Yeah, I'm a director at X's Y. So we're a management consultancy helping companies work better in the digital age. So we like to help companies who are of a reasonable size just use their data and they'll change their way of working to use their data to be more purposeful, really, to be more directed rather than on the email hamster wheel of requests come in and I do them and I don't stop and think of, is that request actually helping us where we're going, or is it just a request that I think I should do? So it's just trying to be more purposeful with our time, really.
Yeah, it's a good call. I don't like doing two things and I find it, I don't like to complicate things. So I just have the Trello board, my 6 priorities, and ignore everything else. And
nice.
Then everything comes in and I just respond immediately to categorize it and then outsource.
That's the one thing that my business partner doesn't enjoy about me. I don't respond immediately. I like to stay in my context. It's something I learned as a software developer. It's hard to hold everything up there when you're doing software development. You've got all the moving pieces and you remember you wrote a bit of this code and you're setting this up. And so someone tapping you on the shoulder and go, hey, Jared, what about that? And you're like, oh, I just forgot all of that.
Yeah.
So I quite like to have my notifications off.
Makes sense. I mean, I actually found that challenging because I first career, like proper career, was sales and commission only selling because people scared the shit out of me. So I was like, I'll do it as a job.
Sales is not something I've ever tried to do.
I wouldn't recommend it. No, it's cool. It's valuable. But it was just one single thing, EQ. You just focus on the person, you do that. But then coming here and doing context flips like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Is there a way, do you incorporate like deep work? Like how do you position yourself to start going down that direction of single focus?
Yeah, it's as simple as just blocking out time in your calendar for me. So that I think Google even have a feature for it now, focus time. So you can just put it into your calendar and it's regularly there. And for me, I tell the people who work with us, you know when your best focus time is. Mine happens to be first thing in the morning. I haven't taken on everything and my context switching energy is still high. I can get through work. And then in the afternoon, I'm not as effective. But, knowing where your most effective time is, where you feel happiest and most productive, and then blocking that time out, and that's yours, right? That's for you to do you talked about the 6 things on your list, or the number one thing you're going to do should be in that focus time. And you should respect yourself and your time and not let someone walk over it. So when someone goes, oh, I've got a meeting, can you fit it in? You go, oh, yeah, okay, you can take my focus time. Don't do it. Your focus time is prime. It's when you can achieve stuff.
Yeah, it's a good point. Are you one of those 4 a.m. guys?
I'm a 5 a.m. guy.
Yeah, I felt like...
I have done 4 a.m. for a while when I was developing a startup idea, but 5 a.m. is my regular get-up time now.
So, we were talking off air, and it sounds like you've optimized nearly every facet of your life. So, I've actually been curious, and people love the whole morning routine thing. So, if you don't mind walking me through, you wake up at 5, and then what's the steps? What are you doing?
I think you should start at the other side.
Okay.
So, I'll start for the preparing for the morning.
Okay.
Because the morning's the effect of the things before it. Like, you can't go out and drink and then start every day at 5 and going, great, right? You're going to be terrible. So for me, it starts for when I stop eating. So I stop eating at 6 p.m., preferably not meat. So just for dinner is vegetable, and then bed 9:30, 10, probably 9. And then I will sleep till 5 a.m. The reason I eat at 5 or 6 is so that I have a better sleep and the heart rate's lower. I have less work to do, more restful sleep. And then I get up at 5, get up at 5. I say that I wake up at 5. I don't sometimes get out of bed till 5:30 with Shell, partner.
Good, you're human.
Yep, spend a bit of time together, and then it's 5 or 6, 5:30 or 6, get up. We have a few kids in the house, so there's a bit of a kid routine going on. But then by 7, I've usually got some time, so I can choose then. That's me kind of a little bit of focus time, so that's when I get to make my decision about my time. So won't eat breakfast, have a cup of tea is about all I have, and then 7 till 8:39 is my outside of my day job personal time. Like I can choose to work, but I can also choose to write some code, or I can choose to research something. So that's my routine, and then at 8:30, then it's work all day.
So do you do anything around the mindset component, like mindfulness? Do you do?
Oh yeah, I missed out that. So we do yoga in the mornings.
So with your partner?
Yep, yeah. At home, usually do yoga at 6. So we get the kids all ready. They're all eating. We do yoga in the other room. Used to meditate after yoga. Usually it was half hour yoga, half hour meditate, but I have dropped that lately. And it's something I should do, but I'm not making the time to do.
I think they're the same thing. I mean...
Yeah, it's an extension for me. I started off doing yoga, and then I realized I was in quite a flow state. And I thought, why don't I try meditation? And then I listened to Michael Taft. I think he had a book and a podcast, and he made meditating more scientific for me rather than wishy-washy is what I kind of thought of it before.
Okay.
And then it made sense of the, training your brain to be more focused, to not react to all the primeval thoughts fired at you.
Yeah. I mean, it's the most valuable thing I learned. I couldn't imagine doing what I was doing in the sales career without it.
Right.
Because I was essentially juggling tarantulas for a living. It's like I was just like, every day I'm going to get rejected by hundreds of people and talk to 40.
Yeah. Well, then it's a good experience of being rejected.
Yeah.
You get used to it, and it's not a thing anymore.
It's a balance. So I think a lot of people are limiting their success out of fear of rejection. But
I would say so, yeah.
The thing I would say to that, though, in terms of, let's say you've got an underlying belief system that you're not good enough or you feel a certain way, you sort of need to reparent that in your life. So that comes from expressing it to people that accept and understand you. So the challenge with being consistently rejected is you're putting it out there and getting reinforced you're not good enough.
Right.
So
you have to be confident with yourself.
Yeah.
But you have to know yourself, don't you? You have to go through some sort of journey to find who you are and be okay with your limitations.
Sure.
Like, I'm not amazing at everything, and you have to know what you can and cannot do and what you're not good at and what you are good at. And I guess know where you are in there and be happy with that. Or do something about it. Like, I meditated more so that I'd be less reactive to my kids. Because at the end of the day, when I'm tired and I'm not my best person and I'm more likely to react, then meditating for me helped me not react. So you accepted, well, it's more of a stoic thing, I guess. You pre-visualize the event that could happen so that when it does happen, you don't react. So that was for me trying to improve my mental state, or my limitation was that, and so I was trying to get better at that part of my life.
Makes sense. I mean, so I go to a thing every week. It's the Mankind Project, and you essentially it's just men supporting men, where you talk about accountability, like any agreements you've kept or haven't kept. Oh, cool. And it's self-accountability. No one's telling anyone else to do. Yep. They're just saying, hey, did you do it? It's on them.
Nice.
But one of the realizations, because there's other things like emotions and different components of it, was that I'm somewhat jaded, and I can be judgmental of others. Right. So they put this challenge out.
Isn't that all humans?
Yeah, it is. But I want to rise above it. So I started tracking each time I have a projection. So judgments are okay. Judgments is like, if I throw this ball, it's going to land. A projection is all the emotion and the story from my past I'm putting onto the individual.
Yeah.
So how I approach the projections part, like similar to how you're talking about the kids, is that I unpack what led to the emotion that is uncharacteristics for the situation.
Yep.
Whereas you're prepared in advance for it to happen, so then that you're resilient, which is quite a different way to see things.
Yeah. I try to be more reflective, but you're talking about you've been quite reflective in a situation and working out how it is you came to that point. It's definitely something I'm learning as a skill. I'm more reactive, or less reflective, which is interesting because as I say that we do that at work, reflection is something we do a lot. But I definitely try to prepare my brain and for the situation before.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense. I'll be curious, like, what leads to the man, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a bit of a deep person, so you can go as deep as you want, but I'll be curious, like, you know, even like where you were born and like what school was like, or...
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had a very easy life.
Oh, yeah, cool.
All the privilege you could probably ask for. Born in Auckland, raised in a nice house, and didn't move houses. Had a very stable childhood. Had very good schooling. Parents stayed together. We holidayed. We did things. Went to Auckland Grammar. Had a good education. Was given the opportunity to go to university. I just didn't have the drive and disappointed my parents by dropping out halfway through the first year of engineering because I base it on my education was so good that first year of university was boring. And I didn't really have the advice that, yes, it will be, but it will get harder and maybe more interesting, but it just wasn't for me, so I left.
Was that challenging, like the sense of like failure or like a comparison to peers? Or
I don't think I was a very good human at that age.
You weren't a good human.
I don't think I was very, very considerate or, what are you, 19, 18? I read that you don't make a good decision on average till you're 27, so I wasn't making very good decisions still.
Were you somewhat entitled given your wonderful life?
Yeah, like we weren't well off. But we were comfortable as a family. It's not like I was bought anything. I still had to buy my own first car and things. But I was pretty selfish, and it was my time, and I'm going to do what I want. And it wasn't. It's not till you're older, well, in my opinion, that when you start having a family and you realize all the work you did do for your kids and what your parents would have done for you. And I don't think I really considered that at all as a child. So I had an easy life, but the university failure, no, it didn't affect me. I just got a job. I just walked into it was a Hyatt hotel at the end of university at that time and asked for a job.
Hyatt Hotel?
Yeah, it's it's now the Pullman, I think.
Okay.
And end of university, Auckland University.
Yeah, cool. So from engineering to hospitality, like
I just asked for a job, and they said there was a hotel porter job, opening doors, carrying bags.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, it was the most fun job I ever had.
Yeah.
All you had to do was open the car door for people getting out, drive their really nice cars around to the car park, may have taken a couple around the block, carry the bags to a room and talk to them.
Yeah.
And Americans gave you extra money. I was like, okay, I can do that. I mean, it wasn't well paid, but...
Yeah. Did you get any gossip? Any like famous people come in and they weren't too nice, or they came in with their mistress?
No, that was the really. I know. We had Michael Jackson's crew come through when they had a concert, but he didn't stay there. And no, there was never any salacious things at all. It was all a bit mainstream.
We had a guy, Stan Henry. He used to manage like a large hotel chain, and the stories.
I get. I was only there for three or so years. Different jobs.
3 years.
Went through the ranks of the hotel porter to running the porters to working at reception to assistant managing reception to night managing the hotel sort of thing. Huh. You go through the different roles.
We live in a colourful life, going out there, meeting people, drinking.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get an assessment of the man.
I was a regular attendee at the Box nightclub in my late teens, 20s.
Cool. So then you did your 3 years, and then you suddenly I'm going to start a business. Or there's a big gap.
There's a big gap there. Yeah. A girlfriend at the time was going off to England. My mum's English, had a passport. Went on the journey with her. Went to Australia, Sydney for 9 months for her family, and then stayed in England for 12-ish years. Went with hospitality. I realised that I guess it was the first year in London where I really realised the value of money, because before then it was just available to me. Had education, always had money. and then went to England, had a hospitality job in England. It was a terrible idea. The pay was, I don't even know what minimum wage is there, but it was terrible. And to a point where I think I had £6 for the whole weekend to spend on myself. That was it. I had lunches covered because we were in a bedsit at the time, but all I had was £6. So I had to make a decision on the one thing that I would do in the weekend. It was, hot chips or possibly a movie. And that was it. There was no going out, nothing, no privilege. I did that for 8 months or so until I went, okay, I can't do this. That's not enough.
Yeah.
So I did a Microsoft course on programming, networking, that sort of thing, and then landed a job at Solomon Smith Barney, which is an investment bank in London, on desktop support. Just timing, lucky. I just did my course, and then there was a job sitting there available. Went in, they pretty much gave me the same test that I'd just done at Microsoft and offered me a job. I was like, okay, I'll take that. And then they got bought by Citibank, and I worked at Citibank for number of 16 years at Citibank through different jobs at support, desktop support for trading floor, back office, and then they have like engineering teams which write and support systems for the company. Architected a few systems, rolled out some global systems for them, and had some kids, got married, and then came back here in 2010. Moved my job back here, which is quite cool. But then it wasn't, then I worked at E-Road for 3 and a bit years. E-Road but do tracking devices in trucks. Like most of the trucks in this country have E-Road devices in them. They do telemetrics, driver behavior.
We needed that.
That sort of thing. Yeah, well, it's good for the truck drivers. They've gamified that. It's quite cool. But yeah, worked there for a number of years and left there running the engineering shop, the 10 different agile teams, running all those. Was quite an experience. It's a good life learning. And then left there three and a half years ago to join my co-partner now at XSY.
Yeah, wow. I say we need that because I used to be a garbage runner on the back of a truck, and we didn't have a handbrake on the truck. Yes.
Is that a normal thing?
Well, I mean, a lot of them don't want to put the outlay for good equipment, so they keep trying to fix something that won't be fixed.
Right.
That's common. So you'd have to turn the wheel into the
curb. Safe.
Yeah, you want to track that. I think. All right, so how did you tag into the existing business? Did you guys have a chat and you're like, I've got this idea?
Yeah. So business partner Cyrus, we had been friends for a while, lived together in the UK, have been close friends for a number of years. I knew what he was doing. He had started XSY many years before, maybe 8 years before, as a cloud advisory company. Before people started really moving to the cloud. And so I think it was a bit ahead of the game. They couldn't get people to actually understand what the cloud was or why there would be a cloud. And he was in and out of jobs, his last one being at PwC running their data practice. So he had good experience with consulting and had numerous jobs before that in the data space. So he was like, okay, I want to give this a proper go. He'd had enough of PwC, realized that the big corporate game wasn't for him. And we had tried to do some tech startup ideas ourselves before then together. Hadn't quite worked out, but then he said, well, do you want to join and give it a go? I was like, oh, wow, that sounds exciting, but also crazily scary. But yeah, give it a go.
Did you have to buy in or how did that work?
No, didn't buy in. Because at that starting point, he hadn't built any IP.
Oh, yeah.
So we worked alongside each other for the first year, doing kind of separate things, but me understanding a bit more. And then after that, we just gave it a go.
What's that like? I tend to not want to work with friends or family. Maybe it's a misguided rule, but I just like to have separate lives.
Yeah, it's interesting that, isn't it? Like I don't treat work as work. So we try and say that at work too, that it's two Jareds. You're Jared, and I'm the same person I am at work. I'm not drunk at work, and I may get drunk in the evening, but occasionally. But I am the same person, and the same values, and the same way of communicating. And for me, I wear the same clothes. I don't change for work. I don't have work clothes. So it feels like it's the same thing. And I can see why working with a friend could be problematic. Like if you don't know that much about them and you don't know how they work, you could, because you have stressful times at work, and you've got to be able to still communicate and work that out, I guess. So I know Cyrus pretty well. So we've spent a lot of time together. So I know what sort of person he is. I know how he communicates, and I know how I can communicate with him. I know how he works, and I think he knows how I work. So it tends to work out.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's not so much the interaction or the communication style or navigating certain things, because the foundation of any friendship I have is authenticity, empathy, and responsibility.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's part. It's more the you're wearing the same clothes to go home, and you're hanging out with your friend that you also talk about work all the time. I love what I do. I obsess.
Yeah.
So if I got a friend working with me, I'm just like, okay, 24 hours a day. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
How do you separate?
Yeah, we don't. Do we separate?
You don't. You just keep going.
Yeah, just keep going a little bit. But
everything.
I guess in the weekends, or if we're doing something socially, I'm conscious of the other people around us, because we have a monthly poker game as well, and we could just talk about our work lives at poker, but then it's kind of less exciting for the other people.
Yeah, excluded.
So I pretty much don't do that. But I think. I hope my dad doesn't listen to this. From my father, I learned not to talk about work too much at the dinner table, because hearing my father talk about his work at the dinner table was less exciting to me. So I try not to overshare my personal. I share some things about what I'm doing, but the nitty gritty of the work, less exciting. The interactions and the things I learned, great, love those. I love sharing those with my kids, but hey, I had to do this for tax reasons. Here, I've got to talk to my accountant. Less exciting.
Yeah. No, I agree. Great lesson from Dad.
Yeah, it is.
Shout out, Dad.
So we try to talk not too much about that at personal times, but at work, we're busy. I don't spend all day with him. We're mostly remote working anyway. We have teams at different clients, so we're in there for some hours a week helping them and those teams run. Less, we have check-ins, like we had a check-in this morning, have a weekly sales and forecast call where him and I talk about what we're doing and where we're at.
So on that remote component, because I mean, COVID, the blessing of the tragedy was that there's a lot of adoption and acceptance of that model, whereas you somewhat would have been a pioneer prior to that. Yeah,
we were used to it, but it definitely changed for us too, because our people were encouraged to go to client site by the client, usually. And then all of a sudden it was the opposite. You're encouraged, you were told not to come in. So we work from home a lot more. And then that made a thing for us as a company. People actually do want some in-person time. So then we started renting office space in the Ice House once every 2 weeks. So we all go in and have that person-to-person interaction. We go out for lunch together and you get a bit of that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely changed the clients we're working with, for sure. You see that the two different sides of the post-lockdown is working from home has worked really well. Our people are happy. They get to do what they want and we're still productive. Or it's the other side of the coin, when are they going to come back in? Why aren't they in the office?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that highlights a mismanagement where a lot of people are trying to enforce or using the system and process to get people to work as opposed to people working for their own values and their own vision. And I think that's an important distinction where, that traditional model of you got the cubicles and when someone's absent because you can see them.
Yeah, that's the thought that if they're in the office, they're working.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
I think before the internet, probably true.
Yeah.
Post-internet?
No, there's a lot of socials. There's a lot. I love what I do, and I like to think I'm relatively productive. But a lot of the time I'm not as well. So
Yeah,
I think it's just
we'd be honest about that, right?
I'm unproductive to be more productive. Sometimes I'm like, look, I'm cooked. I need to just look at Instagram. I need to play around on TikTok.
Yeah.
And then I'll be back into it.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to at E-Road, there was a table tennis table. And so that's what we used that for. Well, there was two things for me. That was displaying trust to people who work for you. That I trust you to make a decision when you can play that game. And two, a de-information, I was going to say, for reducing the amount of load on my head. I'll go play table tennis. I'll be in the zone for a bit, and then I can go back and think again.
That makes sense. I'll be curious on that remote thing. So like the lessons, like, because it's a model that's definitely worth considering. You know, it's cost, and there's a workforce that desires that sort of setup, provided there's that community sense each 2 weeks.
Yeah, totally. We have we put quite a lot into that, the hybrid work effort. It's something that we're helping other companies with, of realizing the benefits of it. There's just, I think there's a lot to learn about not forcing people into a box to actually be more productive. That whole 4-day week, we haven't embraced it yet, but it's a goal for us to get to. But just giving people the time to be themselves so that they can actually be more productive, rather than going, okay, you've got to come in and you're going to sit here and you're going to work. It's like, oh, really? Am I going to be as good as if maybe I had been allowed to do an errand for an hour and then do some work? Not even be allowed. Like, for us, it's not, you don't have to ask to do something. It's expected that you'll deliver the work you're going to do. So you can just go and do what you like whenever you want, on the assumption you'll still deliver.
Well, it's an important distinction. It's like there's a certain badge of honor. I can work this amount of hours. And
yeah.
I get that ego part too. But then it's like you've got this workforce. If they're passionate, loving what they do, and they're delivering on the outcomes, do they need to work the 80 hours, the 20 hours?
Yeah. Yeah, so we tell our staff that we don't count the number of hours you're working for, are you working enough? We will count them if you're working too much. So if you're going over the 40 consistently, then there's going to be a conversation with you, because we don't see that as healthy. So we actually push it the other way. We push you back to 40.
So on that, how do you, like, from a structure standpoint, like, so you got this, you're just paying them the same each week, like with the salary, and then even though they're only working 20 hours a week because they're delivering the outcome, you're happy with it?
Yeah, let's be honest, no one's working 20 hours.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But, I mean, if they could get the same value done in 20 hours, great, good on you. But, it's a fair amount of work we're getting through at work, so 20 hours is not realistic. Yeah. But, it might vary 8 hours either side of the 40.
Yeah.
You might take a few hours off here and there to get it done.
Okay, got it.
But it's not time in seat that delivers value.
Well, I think, and I agree. And I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding of work-life balance. I find it's important to have a break and to have these different aspects of your life. But the reason often people need work-life balance is because they don't like their work. So they're balancing it with their life.
Yeah, possibly.
You don't have to agree. It's not to say, hey, like, if you want to work 30 hours a week and then go jump off a helipad doing snowboarding, do it. All I'm saying is, I can get a job you like first.
Yeah, I mean, that should be... Yeah, but it's hard though, isn't it, to get a job you like?
Yeah.
I'm guessing most people don't have a job they like.
Yes.
Well, maybe they like the people. Maybe they like the company. But having something you do all day, every day, where you're actually happy all day. Like, I imagine if you were doing this all day, you'd be happy. This would be a great job. You're talking and you're learning. That's a good job. But, I don't enjoy all of my job. I enjoy the satisfaction of what we're making and the mentoring that we give to people, I find satisfying. But, the doing my taxes or some of the financial things, or I'm not getting complete enjoyment out of that. I just have to get that done so I can do some other things. So I don't know how many people actually enjoy every part of their job, or enough. I don't know. I haven't seen the data on it, but
yeah, we had a guy, Grant, did his talk at one of the events I used to run, and he said there's a global survey. It's about 70% of people don't like their job.
Right, and that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But I guess it's the, with all data, right? It's which part of your job don't you like? Do you not like your boss? You can have an amazing job, but a dick of a boss, right? Who is just gonna not be a good person, so you're never going to enjoy it.
Well, I think anecdotally, it definitely appears to be apparent. I find a lot of people's lives are ruled by fear, and they have some understanding of what might bring them joy, but just don't feel they have the capacity or the strength or the belief to deliver on that, or even think there's an opportunity that can do it.
Yeah.
Because I've been sort of thinking about how do you discover your purpose? And I've narrowed it down to a thing that it appears to be right, which is that your purpose is helping a version of yourself in the world. And by that I mean there's an emotional theme in your life where you consistently find yourself going in that, like it's I'm not good enough, or I'm this, or I'm that, or you've witnessed a certain experience, either seeing your family struggle financially, so you want to help provide so others don't have to go through that.
Yep.
So then using that as a model, what problem or aspect of yourself you would enjoy helping the most if you could do that in the world?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've always shied, might sound terrible, I've always shied away from people having a purpose. Like, I'm more of a black and white guy when it comes to humans being in existence. Like, I'm less on the purposeful side, more on the accidental interactions between atoms, and we happen to be here. I've been created through my parents' interaction, and I don't really. It's not like I'm on this planet for a purpose. I just happen to exist on this planet. But taking it back to what you said, my strongest memories of Citibank, being there for 12 years, was I didn't get any mentoring. That was my interpretation. Other people may have a different opinion. And there were a couple of people I looked up to and I learnt from, but I didn't get enough time with them to really mold me as a person. I just slowly muddled through it. So the purpose I get through X is Y and our smallish 14-person company is the mentoring and time I get to give to the people in the company, as well as our clients. Like I love spending time with people who are working with us, our clients, doing the same thing. You know, simple advice like what we were talking about earlier, the focus time. Just little things like that of, oh, I hadn't thought about focus time. Oh, I get some time to myself. Great. I don't have to do this hamster wheel all day long. I can do something and get a bit of, I guess, purpose out of the day. So that's what gives me the most pleasure.
Yeah, I don't think we have any inherent meaning. Like, you know, there's a predestined plan or destination. I'm going to be this and that.
Yeah, we're a virus.
Yeah, we're just destroying the planet.
But just this planet at the moment.
Yeah, so far.
Wait for Elon to go to Mars, and then we'll take on another one.
Yeah, we'll hit a few nuclear bombs on either poles, and we're off.
Yeah. Get some atmosphere going.
Yeah, that's what we need. But in terms of what makes the most of the time you're here, I think that's what I mean by purpose.
Yep.
And it appears to be apparent in what you're saying as well. You know, the aspect of your life that you felt was lacking, you're medicating that in the world, and it gives you joy. It
does give me joy to be able to do that.
What stops you from outsourcing things you don't want to do? Like the tax, fuck it, I don't want to do it.
I mean, we have a good accountant and they do most of it, to be honest. Yeah. There's just some of the, it's less tax and more just financial management, you know. Are we spending enough? Are we spending too much? You know, you have 14 people, so people have salaries, so you've got salary reviews, and you've got to think about those sort of things, and you've got to think about marketing and how much you're going to spend on marketing, and there's a few decisions on running your own company. You know, who you partner with, and how's your relationship with your partners, and those are the relationship ones I actually quite enjoy, but just the you know, it'd be nice if magically the company just was over here surviving and I could just talk.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to suck it up in life. And maybe I'm a bit naive. So, you know, when I get there, I'll let you know when I start.
Well, it's the planning. Even I guess I'm a bit exhausted on the planning because I'm trying to plan holidays. And I was going to say, unfortunately, that sounds terrible. There are 4 kids in my family at the moment. Two families joined together. And so there were 4, and I never thought I'd have 4 kids. That's a lot of kids.
It is a lot.
2 was a good number. 4 is enjoyable in different ways. But planning a holiday for 6 people, that is not easy. There's a lot of admin and planning going on. Even actually weekend planning. One of my yet to be executed startup ideas is weekend planning suggestions for families. So if I'm busy at work all day, which most people are, and they get to the weekend and go, oh, I didn't plan anything. Kids are going to run around the house. Oh, well, that's okay. Or, I just go to the park. But if you had a service you paid for which knew you and your ages and the things you like and suggested full day itineraries that you paid for as a service, you went, oh yeah, I'll take that one. And then you went off and did an amazing thing with zero effort at all to plan.
Oh yeah. Would that be a software or?
Yeah, totally. Software with some mechanical Turk humans behind it planning things, or people creating itineraries that other people to get to take that somehow are financially incentivized to do that because they get part of the subscription. Just for me, I like enjoying things, but I don't spend enough time planning them.
Yeah, I get in trouble there. I don't plan. I'll go to countries. I don't know where they are in the world.
Nice.
And I've got to carry on.
How could that be dangerous?
Yeah, it's gone okay. So it's been a bit dicey at times. But
haven't been to parts of Africa yet.
No, that's coming. I might have to. Yeah, I don't know. I guess you can't get a gun. But the reality, like, not to say all Africa, but just South Africa, definitely. Like, you need something.
Some protection.
Yeah, some security. But I just like walking the streets, but I don't want to be naive. So we'll see. I'll let you know. I was in Israel when Trump was moving the embassy.
Oh, yeah.
Was going to. So Hamas was, which is like a terrorist organization or a liberation force or whatever you look at.
Yeah.
They were going to open the gates of hell on Jerusalem. And I was only there for a week. And I was like, they had a countrywide warning, all US citizens should leave. And I was like, yeah, fuck it. Yeah. So I made friends with a taxi driver that used to be in the military in the 60s when it first...
Well, they all have to do service, don't they?
They all do. They do. They're all very healthy looking people. And the diversity of all the different countries, it's really the beautiful people, really. And my favorite place I've ever been.
Nice.
So yeah, we're just going around and there was no lines for anything. I call it the whispering wall where they go pray. And we just skipped the line, like the little line that there was, because he was like, had cancer and he used to be in the military. So he had this little thing.
Nice.
So
good friend.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. I gave him like a grand tip just because it's like, you're a legend. We've got like, technically, we're not meant to be here. There's all this military around and you're just going, what? It's like, okay, you deserve it.
Local access.
Yeah.
You like to just turn up?
Yeah, I don't need to plan, really. Like, I mean, there is a component. Like, you got to, have food, shelter. You don't have to be too strategic. I just instill my trust in others and my ability to navigate whatever problem happens.
Yeah, you have a blind faith in people that you'll be okay.
And me.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Your survival instinct.
I'll work it out. Like, okay, I'll sleep on a park bench for a day, and then I'll find a place. Yeah,
so you're less of a worrier, more of a enjoyer.
Yeah. Nice. Well, and interestingly enough, I'm either an obsessive overthinker that doesn't take any action, or I just wing it.
Place and time for each.
Yeah, but I think we should talk more about you and your skill set. So you help these companies with this data and having meaningful data. Is there a system or process or tools that you should use to get quality data, or is it smart processes to collect that data?
Yeah, it's less about the data, more about the way of working. So you need a smart way of working to do something, and usually data will help you through that. So the smart way of working that we try to instill with our clients is being reflective and purposeful. So if we get together and set our company goals and we set some metrics to be able to measure ourselves towards our goals, and then we reflect every week on, is our data telling us we're getting closer or further away from our metrics so we can reach our goals. So that's the basic premise of what we do. And if you have that routine in a lot of places, not just work, then you will move closer towards your goal, and you'll spend less time on the random things that get thrown at you, which happens everywhere. from the, in a company from the C-suite to underneath of the random things, or to the sales team who have this great new idea when you're trying to deliver something. We help that process. And yes, we're meticulous about the type of data we pick up. We don't advise people to pick up all data because all data is not good. It's purposeful. So, we have our goals. We have our metrics. I just need the data for those metrics. Because if I'm getting lost in all the data, then I have to manage all the data and the risk of all the data. And then I haven't had time to do my purposeful data for my goals. So it's being quite purposeful and picking up the data you want to look after and curate and create. So we work in a co-creation. So we don't believe in the tech teams over there and the business over here. It's a modern team together where you're working through it, making decisions on the fly and producing data. So the business person can have their cadence of being reflective. Okay, yes, those changes I said I was going to make, I did do them. Did I not do them? Oh, I did do them. Great. Did they have an effect? Yes, they did. Or even I said I was going to do those tasks because I thought they were going to do something good, but I didn't get them done because thing on my right distracted me. That's fine. I can't be purposeful every day of my life, but still by doing the cadence of meeting every week or so often, you'll eventually get upset with yourself. Oh, I didn't do it again. And if you do that in a public forum, you're probably going to feel a bit insecure about that. And eventually you'll actually do it. Then you've got that nice peer pressure of, yep, I'm going to do the things I said I would do. And they may not work, right? They may not take you towards your goal, but you tried and you purposely tried.
Okay. Well, when I hear that and I think of data and I think of the average small business, they're probably not thinking too much about data. So your client base are a bit larger, more in the
They are side. A bit larger. Yep.
So on that, you're coming in and you're essentially, with lack of a better word, incorporating some level of a startup focus where, you can make quick decisions that happen at the time. How you bring that into corporate? Is it the tech people? They're just different, or what? No,
you're right. It's not the tech people. It's the C-suite. And it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. But more and more C-suite people are recognizing that they need to know what's going on, especially in the health and safety space, right? You are now financially and legally on the hook for the health and safety of your organization. So you can't just go, hey, you guys over there, I hope you get it right? Right? You have to actually know what's going on. So having some data about how it's going and do I have to worry about it is a good thing. So it's just training people on that. But it's still hard. Like a lot of people are used to, I get a bucket of money and I make some more things and I do some more projects and it looks like we make more money. Great. I mean, it's not until maybe there's some sort of financial downturn or, COVID changes and half your customers disappear and you want to know, well, shit, where should I actually put my efforts? Because I can't do it all anymore. That makes it a bit easier. But it is a hard sell. The way of working is a hard sell. A lot of people don't want to pay attention to the metrics or even stop and reflect. Like asking someone to stop and reflect on what data do you actually need? What are your actual metrics? That's actually quite a hard conversation. You feel a bit insecure about, I'm good at my job, but I don't really know.
Yeah.
I don't really know exactly what I should be looking at, but I know I've got to get the stuff done. So it can be a bit confronting. And, it's growing though. People are seeing more and more value in baselining metrics. So we start at a very simple level for companies. It's like, what are the 9 things that are most important to the company? And let's just start measuring those and get that correct. Or even, what's your interpretation of profit? Because my interpretation at the same company may be completely different because I take out this line item and I don't believe the things that come in January because that's a hangover from last year. So I don't treat those as revenue. Just getting all those things out in the open of this is what revenue or profit means or the count of something. And we get that written down and agreed. So we'll go, okay, that's what we're both talking to. We'll both use that same word so that we're in a place. And then we'll measure your baseline. And that alone, that simple task, can take a year to get you to that point of an automated, beautiful process that is just going to be there.
Is it, because I imagine, like, let's say you got these people, they weren't the biggest believers, and now you're telling them, oh, what's your type of profit, and we've got this new way of doing things. Is there something that you've realized as a business that helps them see progression, so there's hope? You know what I mean? So you come in, you got these new ideas. Oh yeah, I trust you for a bit. I'm starting to untrust you at 3 months.
Yeah,
what's going on?
It's the constant communication. So we don't work in isolation. So even the people who are signing off on your work, the C-suite if it is, they are involved in a process with us once a week where we talk through what's happened. They're not doing the work, other team is doing it, but we keep them abreast. So we work ourselves in 2-week sprints. We're producing documentation every 2 weeks on progress. There's clear business benefits. So there's quite a lot of effort to go in to keep the conversation alive of what's actually being delivered, not just, can you wait 6 months and then we'll see what happened. It's quicker iteration through things. So we can't get all metrics done straight away, but we can do one, and we can show benefit from that, and then we can start helping you use that in a meeting to talk to it, and then you can start seeing progress. I get it. I start changing things. I can see progress. I'm going to hit my targets. Great. I'm going to look good. So you have to find the person who is more into it, because let's be honest, not everybody is going to care at the moment.
Yeah, like if I was in that position, I'd be like, I need to care. I don't want to care. So I'll find a way to either partner with someone that cares, and then they do it, and then they can speak in my language.
Yeah, it's fun with people who are passionate about something. Like in an exec, you're not going to be looking at everything. I can't, if you're the head of marketing, you might be less or more interested in some other part of the business. But if you own the marketing space and the marketing data, and you understand that and can talk to it, and you know how it works and you know what to tweak, then you can just own the marketing data and talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think data has an incredible opportunity, even just the simple, from a personal development standpoint, to have some form of documenting your life or emotional experiences that makes it clear, so that in the fog of whatever's going on in your life, and it differentiates it, because the truth is the truth.
100%. That's why my Aura Ring measures a lot about me, but I use that for ratifying my perception of my sleep. So, your comprehension of time is terrible while you're sleeping. You wake up and you might stay awake for a minute, but you went, oh my God, I was awake for hours last night. It was a terrible sleep. And I've done that sometimes. And then I look at my Aura Ring and it goes, oh no, you're awake for 10 minutes once out of 7 hours. Your sleep was still good. Don't get yourself sucked into the mindset, I had a terrible sleep, it's going to be a terrible day. I use it to go, it was actually okay, I was fine. People I didn't get to sleep till 10. I was like, what? So you're just lying there, you're like 10, and then you just dropped off? My ring tells me off for falling asleep too fast. It gives me a red warning because my sleep latency is too low. Because I literally fall asleep in 4 minutes. Yeah. Well, that's a talent. I think it's a talent. I don't know why I think the ring is warning me because maybe I'm too tired. But well, I mean, the routine. Consistent bedtime and wake up time just change your life. Yeah, the eating consistently and the sleeping consistently. Yeah, as I say, I set off here. I work out how not to eat food until at midnight. You know what I mean? Like, or 9 or whenever. Yeah, I used to as well. I used to just eat whenever and didn't worry about it. But I guess the older you get, well, for me, the older I get, the worse things have gotten. So I want to try and regulate it. Maybe it's because I have less time. You have more time pre-children to do whatever you feel like doing. And now I have less time. So I want to make sure that less time is optimal. Yeah. Well, more often. I find discipline's liberation. So I think if you can create those rituals and those consistencies, and that's that framework. Yeah. And what motivates me is if I'm not, I feel like I'm doing a disservice to the potential people I could be helping each time I have my McDonald's, or each time I don't wake up at this time. And I do the McDonald's a bit too much. But yeah, I feel on that. So I feel like I need to extract more value from you, man. I just talk to It's the why, isn't it? It's the why. I didn't do any of that routine until I had a why. I don't eat later because it's now proven to me through data that I sleep better if I don't. So now I know that's a good why. The not eating meat at dinner time means my heart rate is lower at nighttime, which means my heart rate is lower, which means it has less beats. And the information I understand is you have a finite number of beats in your heart. So if you can make it do less, it's going to last longer. So it's that simple for me. I would, I'm not saying every single night I'm perfect. I'm definitely going out on the weekend sometimes, and I'm definitely going out to dinner, and I'm definitely having meat. But vast majority of the time, my heart is doing less, so it'll last longer.
So that hummingbird, if it doesn't find food in a few hours, is dead or whatever. It's like some remarkably short time because its heart rate's going so fast.
Because the wings are so fast, yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. So let's use a specific example, because I tend to find that people that are thought leaders or experts in certain competency, I do a disservice with the question because it goes too broad. So I'm wondering if you could use a specific example, not necessarily naming them, of how you took a client from this to that and the processes you went to get from this to that.
Oh yeah, there's a lot there. We helped Ports of Auckland over the last, we're not there now, but the last couple of years, helped them have more insight into their operations. So they have, have a lot going on. It's a very complex business with a lot of things moving. I think if people looked into how complex it was, they'd be quite amazed that things actually appear out the other side of the gate. There's a lot of moving pieces there. So we helped them, the process of getting people together. We try to have a common purpose and get people emotionally tied into what they're doing. And then it just slowly chipping away at that of getting people together, agreeing where we're going to go, getting the right people involved, showing some things early on and often as you can. The way we work is we design things, we prototype them, we sell that dream, then we kind of make it with fake data because we can't get the real data yet, and then you make it with real data. So there's a lot of sharing of things with people to get them on that journey. But for them now, the thing that I celebrate is in their lunchroom, they now have a big TV up with metrics that they celebrate to a point now and that's not just for executives, right? That's for everybody. People now complain when the data's not accurate. What I mean by accurate is the last 15 minutes haven't shown. So they have every 15 minutes metrics get updated about operations for public consumption there, or private consumption internally. And it's used so much now that people complain about it, which sounds like you shouldn't be happy they're complaining, but it's more the fact that they're paying attention to it. And now everyone can see success metrics for the operations of things moving around and their part of their, because the people are a huge part, but individual contributor is a small part in the massive thing of moving containers off a ship onto the dock to the right place, onto a truck or train and out is one of their movements. So, knowing how you contribute to that and the effect that has on, even just the effect it has on traffic on the road outside the port can be terrible when all the trucks are piled up and nobody can get in and out. Or, the effect of how can I get my latest car because it's coming in on a boat. And, they can see the part they're playing in success.
So is it kind of like a video game screen and it's like goes up and it's fun and engaging, or is it like it's number 50? I'm like, I'm not inspired. I hate my job. Like, what the fuck is this hoorah stuff?
Yeah, you're right. It's not video game.
Yeah, okay.
But there are trends and there are targets.
Yeah,
which sounds a little bit dry. That's kind of us. It's not video game-esque explosions and high fives. We do that through Slack, but not on the dashboard. But it has a clear trend line of, hey, I'm heading towards that target or I'm not. So I can see not just today, but over the last week or last year, how well we've gone. So if you care about it, it's there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's going to make you care.
Yeah.
Because if you still don't care about your job, you're not going to care about your job.
Yeah. Well, the part I got from that is that you articulate and cultivate a plan of action and help it execute and take processes in terms of understanding humans and their certain resistances to lead to adoption. Yeah,
you've got to bring them humans on the journey. You can't just make something and throw it at them and go, hey, here it is. Can you start using it now, please?
Yeah.
For me, it's skin in the game. It's if you've helped me make it, you've put some thought into it, you'll want to succeed because your thoughts are in it.
Yeah.
But if I've made it for you, you can be very dismissive of that thing and go, no, I don't care about it. No, it wasn't what I wanted. So it's having that right amount of input from the people so they can sell it. Because in my opinion, it does bring people on the journey of success if you can show something about where we're heading. Not just we've done well, or you did well this year. It's how's the whole thing going?
Yeah, no, I think it is a smart model, especially if you're incorporating the team and giving them responsibility, like within the organization, so they're part of it, and then you're breaking it down incrementally and showing the quick little wins. So there's like a 2% rule in psychology, be 2% better instead of trying to be everything.
Nice.
So yeah, I can see how it makes sense. It was just when you started talking about these corporates, they get to see the screen, and I'll be like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But in terms of the overarching management and being able to deliver it and feel included as part of the
anybody
big machine.
anybody. It's not always just the executive. It can, sometimes it's for a part of the business. We're at Countdown as well, and we're helping specific parts of that business just see things so they can take action. It's really, if anybody wants to actually improve, then we give them a mechanism that they can do that. So, and you've got data to back up your actions. Because that's the most important part for me is that, I can make a whole lot of decisions and take a whole lot of action, but if I have no idea to actually prove if one of those is successful, how do I know which one I should do more of?
Yeah. That makes sense. It's informed decision making, and then it's also, from an individual standpoint, is like, okay, I am delivering on what I said I would, or I know what's going wrong. It's not so overwhelming, and there's a process to fix it, to rectify it.
I think people respect it too. Like I've worked at big companies and decisions got made around you, above you, and you're like, why is that decision being made? Like, and you're asking me to now work harder or differently to do that thing that you've asked to do, but I have no acceptance that that's a good idea, and nor can I see if it's working.
Yeah.
But if I can see the people around me going, okay, we're going to do this because we think it's going to help us with this goal, that sounds purposeful. Okay, I'm going to go buy into that, and then I can look at that thing and go, oh, look, it has gone up. It may not be exactly because of our team. There may be other contributing factors, but still, we're purposely doing something rather than, I'm going to reorg.
Yeah. No, yeah, I get, like, I think it's really a testament to my naivety to a certain scale. The most I've ever managed is 15 people, and that's just a direct confrontation, discussion.
Yeah. Sometimes confrontation. Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta have some confrontation. I just don't know why it came out that way. I just chat. I can
brain
talk to
firing
them.
away.
Yeah. Apparently, I have a confrontation I need to have. But yeah, when you reach that level of distance between what they're making here and what they are, and them feeling excluded and not understanding why, that's when you do need to systemize it. Or even now, but
I think it shows you're being responsible. In my opinion, you're being responsible with other people's time. Like, I have quite a beef about that. Like, I don't like people saying words without understanding the cost of their words. And I wish there was a executive meter that measured the cost of your words. So every time, even politicians, every time you said we're going to do this, there should be a thing on the screen that said this is going to cost this much and impact this many people if we all do that.
Oh, God.
Because you have to realize that if you tell a team to, hey, change tack now, they've just dumped everything they've done, and now they have to try and do this and work out how to do this, and the cost of change is horrendous.
Yeah.
But so that's my internal brain thinking. I wish we had a way to measure the cost of words and the impact it has on other people and how they think about that. And not just, I think it's good for the business, let's do it. It's like, well, could be.
Yeah, I mean, people could crumble under that model. It's like, say nothing. But then if you're the right kind of person that takes responsibility.
Yeah, like, I'm not going to say all the words I've said today are correct, right? That's my interpretation of the world and how I see things. And I'll happily debate anything that I've said and accept to be wrong, because you can't know everything. But still, you can be confident in some of the things you're doing, and you can show responsibility. I'm not just randomly doing this. I'm doing it because the goal is this, and I want to try and do it, and I think it's going to affect these metrics. Let's try and do it together.
Yeah. No, I think if you're the sort of leader that takes responsibility and genuinely cares about the outcome, it's genius. I was thinking with your data thing with the video game, if there was a way to take people in an induction where we're doing a personalized, so one, you're hiring people whose their personal vision fits into yours. So just by you succeeding in your vision, it's helping them succeed theirs.
Yep.
and then through that induction process, capturing that information and then putting into the metrics or the KPIs and seeing how that reflects in terms of their own personal journey. Is that possible?
Anything's possible with time, right? You just got to have the time to pay attention to it. Like it's hard to measure some things. Some things are a bit more airy-fairy and
it's my talent.
Actual causation or correlation. But yeah, you can, like, we help our staff have goals, and they're not just, they're X, Y goals. They're personal. They're, hey, what do you want to do to personally develop? What's something you're interested in? If they don't know, we help them find it. And then we measure it. We meet with them every 2 weeks and reflect on how did you go with your personal development as well as client. What did you get done? I didn't get anything done because the client was busy. Okay, that's fine. This week, next week, no. But it's that same process that we use at companies, we use internally with people as well to help them further something.
It's smart. There's a book, The E-Myth. You might have heard of it, but it talks about you should franchise your business even if you're not franchising it. Yeah. Systemize and create processes, because a lot of businesses are technicians and they're just doing their work, and then they expand to a team and they're not too sure how to do it, and they don't have a process to deliver it consistency, and then they get more stressed and overwhelmed.
So another app idea I have is you should always know where the task you're doing is in the grand scheme of all tasks that it linked to. So if someone asks you to do something today, or that tomorrow you have to do this thing, it'd be awesome if you knew if this was 5 out of 100 and there are 95 tasks after you waiting for you to be successful so they can be successful. Or, knowing how important the thing is you're doing so that you're part of the chain of responsibility, I think would be amazing if you could somehow visualize that.
Well, that 80-20 in life, 20% of your customers provide 80% of the revenue. And even just like an example in marketing, they call it above the fold.
Yep.
So when people land on a certain page...
Yeah, we do the same thing with the dashboards.
Oh, there you go. They're just most of them just stop there and they make it...
Yeah, first fold, yep.
Yeah, so if you're gonna change something, just focus on that. Focus on the headline and the creative that leads to them making a call.
Yeah. Came from the papers, right? That came from the old school papers. Old school. The papers that people read that are made out of paper.
I got it from Alex Hormozy. Maybe he got it from the papers.
It's from, because the headline is the top of the page, and then the first fold is where you literally folded the paper.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, then I learned why. I just listen. Someone's smart and they tell me things, and I believe sort of their character and their description. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, we did the same thing at dashboard. You showed the most important thing at the top, and then if you want to see more, that's the second fold. Third fold, a bit more level of detail, but you probably won't make it down there.
Yeah.
Or even you give someone an update of what you're doing. That's why you have those status reports, right? That's just a high level, and that's the first bit, and then drop into the next bit, or the TLDR at the top of things. That's the same mechanism with the fold.
TLDR?
The too long didn't read.
Oh, okay.
People put the TLDR, the summary effectively of the blog post is this one paragraph, and if it's too long for you to read, then just read that.
Yeah, no, smart. All right. Well, we're at an hour.
So really?
Well.
Wow.
Yeah. So I imagine there's probably some large corporates listening to this. I don't know. There's a lot of people. There's about 400,000 a month in terms of all the socials and stuff. So you'd think there's your client on there. So who is your dream client that you could feel like you could add value on? Not specific, but like a genre, and then how they might find you.
So we don't mind which industry people are in, because we don't come with, hey, you're in marketing, I'm going to tell you how to do marketing better. We come with, hey, you're a company of a certain size that has a problem. We're going to help you use processes and ways of working and data to get better at whatever it is you want to do. So people who are passionate about either changing the way they're working or just want to have more control over what they're doing and more insight so they can make some better decisions and be more purposeful. But it's really, you have to want to do it, and you have to have peers who want to do it too, because it takes time, and you might have to employ some new people in a data and analytics and product management sort of space to be able to look after the things, because anything we make is a data product. You can treat that as a website as well. Websites don't come for free. The things behind it. So the same for this, for data, you have to have a team. So it gets to be an expensive game because you do have to employ people. Not saying that you have to employ us forever. We'll help you set it up and you can employ them, but you have to be able to see the long game. So it's not a short game. But yeah, people who want to change and are passionate about seeing more, totally in our wheelhouse, of different sizes. We have different engagements, but we can be found at xsy.co.nz is our website. All over LinkedIn as well. You can see many things coming up from us. We post blog posts as often as we can, just trying to show our thoughts and feelings. We talk about the way we work as a company. We talk about how we treat our staff as well as how we work with our customers. It's definitely the place to find us. The website, you can see who we've worked with and what we're doing.
Yeah, big names I saw. All right, well, I'll put that in the description.
Nice.
Your LinkedIn and your website. And thanks.
Thank you. It's great fun.